Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of NEWS2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. In our top story, we've been following the legal action taken by the Attorney General's office against Sugar Bay Hotel. On Wednesday, they met in Superior Court, and the arguments basically boiled down to whether or not Sugar Bay Hotel actually did a mass layoff between December and February, according to the law. NEWS2's April Knight has details.
Sugar Bay representatives appeared in Superior Court on Wednesday over the numerous layoffs done by the hotel in the last few months. The Attorney General's office took Sugar Bay to court for allegedly playing a numbers game, laying off as many employees as they could within 30 days, just barely touching the 25-employee threshold that would constitute a mass layoff. This way, they avoided triggering the Plant Closing Act, according to the AG. But Sugar Bay argued that the court has to look at the letter of the law, meaning the layoffs did almost reach the 25-employee mark, but not quite, and therefore technically there was no violation. The Plant Closing Act requires 10 days notification to the government and 30 days to the employee. No such notice was made. It also mandates a severance of 1 week's pay for every year that the employee has worked for the company. Former Sugar Bay employee Vernice Webster told the court what she told NEWS2 earlier, that she was offered severance, but it wasn't enough.
They're going to give me a servant pay. They do not do it for everyone. But since I'm a loyal employee, they're going to give me 4 weeks. And I refused it because I worked there for 20 years and I think it's an insult.
The offer was eventually increased to 6 and then 8 weeks, but Webster feels having worked for the hotel for 20 years, it's still unfair.
I think the max for 20 years or 16 years or something, but not 4 weeks.
The parties will meet again in court April 1st at the latest. Reporting for NEWS2, I'm April Knight.
That hearing lasted for 7 hours. No ruling was reached by Judge Francois. Many of the documents needed by the government are still pending from Sugar Bay. Count to keep you updated. In other news, she's been in the territory for a while, already at the forefront of the VI's fight against Zika. Now, Dr. Michelle Davis has been officially nominated to serve as the next Virgin Islands Commissioner of Health. Davis is on loan to the territory from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and is now serving as Health Commissioner Designee. Dr. Davis will serve as Health Commissioner for 2 years under the agreement with the federal government. Governor Kenneth Mapp said that Davis, an epidemiologist by training, has the medical and administrative background required to manage the territory's health operations. Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter left the territory on March 22nd to attend the National Lieutenant Governors Association Federal-State Relations meeting in Washington, D.C. NLGA conducts a federal-state relations meeting annually in March. Participants meet with members of Congress and the administration to enhance intergovernmental relations. Topics focus on federal work, which will impact states and U.S. territories. In accordance with the revised Organic Act, Senate President Neville James will serve as acting Lieutenant Governor. Lieutenant Governor Potter will return to the territory on March 26. There's been a lot of development on the suit filed by John Yob and 3 other individuals against Election Supervisor Carolyn Fox. On Tuesday, they scored a victory in Superior Court, but the same afternoon, they were dealt another blow by the state chairman of the Republican Party. Yob also addresses criticisms against him. NEWS2's April Knight has an update.
Sandy, this is something we cannot make up. As we reported on Tuesday, GOP strategist John Yob won a victory here in Superior Court when Judge Kathleen McKay granted the injunction that put him and 3 others back on the ballot temporarily. Now, John Yob is fighting another battle when VI-RNC State Chair John Canigata disqualified elected delegates, including Yob, on a technicality. As it stands, the entire March 10th elected slate is gone as far as Kanegata is concerned. John Yob, Gwen Brady, Warren Cole, Erica Yob, George Logan, and Lindsay Alon are all disqualified. They'll be replaced by David Johnson, Valerie Stiles for Rubio, Andrea Lee Mokel, Humberto O'Neill for Rubio, Stephen Hardy for Trump, and Robert Shanfarber for Ted Cruz. According to Kanegata, elected delegates should have confirmed in writing within 5 days that they're accepting their election. Yob responded, "It's not 5 days after election, it's 5 days after the results are certified," which he said has not happened yet. As for accusations that he and his wife Erica came to the VI to manipulate the Republican caucus to their own advantage.
So our move to St. John had nothing to do with running for National Convention delegate. It's something we've been working on for a long time, and we bought a home here. Our children are in school here, and this is where we intend to spend the rest of our lives.
Yob's critics say he hasn't lived here long enough to know the pulse of the Virgin Islands. But according to Yob, the campaign that won him the seat was based on a different pitch.
I campaigned for the position on the basis of it being in the Virgin Islands' best interest to elect unaffiliated delegates to the National Convention. I campaigned hard. I put on parties in St. Croix. I put on parties in St. Thomas. I sent out mailing asking for folks' support, and I'm proud of the effort that we put forward.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Some members of the Republican Party did say that Kanegata's move was a bit premature, so the disqualifications might not be final yet. News 2 will keep you updated. Well, here's an update from WAPA in its continuing efforts to be prepared for potential emergencies and natural disasters. Last week, the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority participated in that joint agency exercise with the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency for the territory-wide test of the Virgin Islands government's tsunami response plan. Employees from the authority's 2 power plants, Richmond in Estate Richmond on St. Croix and Randolph-Harley in Crum Bay on St. Thomas, as well as personnel from the Havenside administrative offices in Port of Sale and Alcohen, all evacuated to higher ground as part of that exercise. WAPA says emergency planning efforts continue year-round at WAPA. The United States and Cuba have agreed to work on improving maritime safety between the two countries. Ambassador Jeffrey de Laurentiis, the chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Havana, and Colonel Candido Alfredo Relgado Gomez, chief of Cuba's National Office of Hydrography and Geodesy, have signed a memorandum of understanding. Improved navigation services are important for commercial mariners and individual boaters alike, according to Ambassador De Laurentiis, and it's particularly important as authorized trade and authorized travel increase between Cuba and the U.S. Well, looking ahead overseas again, Belgian authorities are identifying some of the perpetrators in Tuesday's terrorist attacks at the Brussels airport and the Malbeek metro station. Investigators say brothers Khalid Abraham El Barakai carried out suicide attacks, one at the airport and another at the metro station. And investigators believe another suicide bomber at the airport was an alleged bomb maker, Najim Larakai. Meanwhile, Belgian citizens say they will carry on despite the recent events. Karen Kaifa has the very latest from Washington.
It is a bond neither city wanted. Paris, hit with terror attacks just 4 months ago, standing with Brussels the day after their tragedy.
The mayor of Brussels and all of you stood with us when Paris was hit. Together, we will be much stronger.
Moments of silence continued in Belgium and around the globe Wednesday, the day after explosions rocked the Brussels airport and a busy metro station in the European capital. The attacks, for which ISIS has claimed credit, again highlighting a problem Europe is desperate to solve.
We also know that the response must be European because the terrorist threat and this challenge is about the whole of Europe.
Authorities in Belgium say these brothers, Khalid and Ibrahim El Bakraoui, were among the suicide bombers, one at the airport, the other at the subway station. They also say this man in a light-colored jacket placed a bomb at the airport before leaving the scene. A manhunt is underway for him and others with suspected connections to the attacks. Police raids continued Wednesday. The country remains at its highest terror alert. Traveling in Argentina, President Obama pledged support to Belgium and Europe.
The world has to be united against terrorism, and we can and we will defeat those who threaten the safety and security not only of our own people, but of people all around the world.
For Brussels, that fight has now come too close to home. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
And keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. And there are the numbers. Everything down. The Dow 79, NASDAQ 52, S&P 500 also down at 13. Coming up on News 2 on Good Friday, although a number of Virgin Islanders may be heading to church for special services, one place they may not be heading to are bars or restaurants. That's because of the Good Friday liquor ban that will be in effect. Details coming up. Welcome back. Innovative Cable TV recently received confirmation that Al Jazeera America, which currently appears in the Variety Plus pack on Channel 318, will go off the air on April 12, 2016. This decision is not a result of unsuccessful contract negotiations between the cable TV operator and the programmer. The channel is going off the air after 3 challenging years. Graciela Rivera, Vice President of Cable TV Services, stated Innovative Cable TV was disappointed to learn of this latest development for Al Jazeera America because it was a channel that had been requested by many in the community. Innovative is working on launching a replacement for Al Jazeera America and additional channels within the next 60 days. We will keep you updated. Are you aware of the Good Friday liquor restrictions? The serving of distilled liquor and alcoholic beverages shall not be served in public places of refreshments, such as bars, taverns, and restaurants between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Friday, March 25th for Good Friday. Establishments that violate this law, Title I, Virgin Islands Code, subsection 171, can be fined $200 or imprisoned up to 1 year. The Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs Commissioner Devin Carrington also reminds business owners and the public of the restrictions mandated by law. Whoever violates the subsection shall be fined, again, not more than $200 or in prison not more than a year. Distilled liquor includes spirits and can be defined as grain alcohol with a high alcohol content. Examples of distilled spirits include brandy, whiskey, rum, gin, and vodka. This does not include beverages such as beer, wine, and cider, as they are fermented but not distilled. These all have relatively low alcohol content, typically less than 15%. Local cordials such as piña coladas, coquito, and guava berry sales are not restricted on this day. The liquor ban is enforced every year during the Christian observance of Holy Week. It has been the subject of criticism by some VI residents. Well, schools and government offices are closed most of the rest of the week in observance of Easter. It's a time in which many people on St. Croix look forward to because of an annual tradition that drives residents to the beaches in droves. St. Croix beaches are home to families during Easter. Those families have been camping for decades. Most campers have been pitching their tents in the same spot for years. Young and old look forward to their home away from home, and no one seems to mind missing some of the modern conveniences of home. In fact, many of those luxuries are still found at the campsites. While Easter celebrations vary around the world, the meaning remains more or less the same for different Christian denominations. There's the Feast of Palm Sunday, which happens the Sunday before Easter. It proceeds with Holy Thursday, commemorating the Last Supper, Good Friday, commemorating the crucifixion and death of Jesus, and then Easter Sunday, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, described in the New Testament as having occurred 3 days after his crucifixion by Romans at Calvary, c. 30 AD. Again, various Christian denominations celebrate it differently, but there are common activities such as Easter egg hunts held for children. In the territory, it's a time to spend with family or take a chance for a nice quiet vacation. Jehovah's Witness invites all to commemorate the memorial of Christ's death this evening at the Kingdom Hall at 23C North, Carlton Road, Frederiksted. That began at 7 p.m. The program is in English, Spanish, and American Sign Language. Similar programs are being held at the Sugar Bay Hotel and at the Kingdom Hall in John Dunco and Estate Pastory in St. John, also at 7 p.m. Virgin Islands National Guard family readiness groups, they're holding Easter events for the upcoming holiday on both islands on Thursday, March 24th and Sunday, April 3rd. The events are for military beneficiaries and dependents. The 786 Combat Sustainment Support Battalion family ready groups on St. Thomas, that's scheduled to host an Easter egg hunt on Thursday, March 24th at 11 a.m. at the Sergeant First Class Leonard B. Francis Readiness Center in Estate Nazareth on St. Croix. The 662nd Engineer Company and the 630th Quartermaster Detachment Family Readiness Units, they will be hosting their Easter Wonderland Extravaganza on Sunday, April 3rd from 1 p.m. at the Ruins in Estate Bethlehem Military Compound. The St. John Administrator's Office will be holding a hunt at the Battery for pre-kindergarten to 6th graders. There will be prizes, games, face painting, music, and more. That's Saturday, March 26th from 12 to 4. Also, Impact in Your World Christian Ministries invites children to their second annual egg drop hunt that will take place also on Saturday, March 26th at 11 a.m. at the Sheldon Molly High School field. A helicopter dropping the eggs will be taking place and prizes will be given out to children who collects the most eggs. Also, they will be presenting the powerful last 7 words. That's on Friday, March 25th from 12 noon to 3 p.m. And that's the last 7 words of Jesus from the cross. There will be praise, worship, drama presentation, and special music selection. That is by Impact in Your World Christian Ministries. And just a quick reminder, there will be a change in programming this week due to the 2016 NCAA Basketball Championships that will be aired here on CBS TV2. NEWS2 will not be aired at its regularly scheduled times on Thursday and Friday, March 24th and 25th. We will be back on air on Monday, March 28th with our regularly scheduled programming. And then, of course, enjoy your Good Friday holiday coming up. Well, there's much more straight ahead. Right now, we want to welcome back the Ivana Udorkin High School Band, Dynamite Ray's Marching Band. They attended the New Orleans World Strides Heritage Music Festival, and guess what? They returned as winners. The World Strides onstage programs fuel the passion of aspiring artists of all ages by providing world-class performance opportunities in music, drama, and dance with productions and prestigious competitions. They were recognized, receiving Marching Band Silver, Auxiliary Gold for Concert Band Silver, Jazz Band Gold, Maroon Men Gold, Percussion Band Silver, and Sweepstakes for Total Program Awards. 2 Maestro Awards were awarded to Sharon Williams and Denasia Atidor Charles, directed by Miss Dion Donadell, Miss Monet Davis, and Miss Nicole Sims. Congrats to the students who returned this week. Sheldon Molly High School fought to defend the 2015 Regional Science Bowl title, but Antilles School is the 2016 winner. The event was held March 6th at the Curriculum Center in St. Thomas. The other schools participating were St. Thomas St. John Seventh-day Adventist School, the St. Croix Central High School. Teams of 4 students were quizzed in a fast-paced question-and-answer format on a wide range of science disciplines, including biology, chemistry, physics, and more. Antilles School will represent the territory at the U.S. Department of Energy's National Science Bowl in Maryland, April 28th to May 2nd, 2016. Team members are Shivang Chawla, David Newhart, Cameron Bunn, Jonathan Woods, and Avinash Nakpal. Congrats to the students. We from Upstreet Inc. will be conducting an enrichment and directional program of virtues and core values, and they want you to put this on the calendar. The theme is It's a Matter of Choice. They will be offering math and English enrichment and a cultural awareness component for students between the ages of 15 and 17 years. The program will be conducted 2 hours per day, Tuesdays and Thursdays. An open house and registration will be held on Wednesday, April 6, 5:30 p.m. at Peterson's Yard, located at the former Jackson's Service Center or Ricky's Diner, across from the Department of Education's Cultural Education Office. Space is limited for this program, so it will be on a first-come, first-served basis. You can contact Mrs. Vernell Delagarde, who is the program coordinator. That number is 775-4683. Before we leave, we want to mention the Virgin Islands Carnival Committee. They held its warm-up event, which was called Soca Divas in the Park, last Friday at Roosevelt Park. Hundreds turned out for this first-time event. There were performances by Pan in Motion, Steel Band, The Bambula dancers, St. Thomas Majorettes, traditional Indians, and Chaka Zulus who displayed their fabulous costumes for 2016. The 2016 Queen and Princess contestants made an appearance. Then the divas took the stage. Tamisha, Caribbean Queen Liebert, Nikki Brooks, and Road March champions Lorna Freeman and the Spectrum Band. Great turnout there. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
A beautiful Wednesday to enjoy all across the Virgin Islands, and this tranquil weather pattern will continue right up into the weekend. Looking at current satellite across the Caribbean, no real features to talk about, especially across our area. So we're in that typical trade wind pattern for this time of year, with the exception of a few spotty clouds and trade wind showers. Should be good to go weather-wise in the foreseeable future. For tonight, just some patchy clouds, Carolina sprinkle or two, no big deal here. We'll fall to an overnight low of 77 degrees. Tomorrow in St. John looks good, partly sunny skies reaching a high of 85 degrees, and a spotty shower is definitely possible. Couple of sprinkles in the forecast for St. Thomas tomorrow, though much of the day will be dry with partly sunny skies, and we'll climb to a daytime high of 85 degrees. Also to the mid-80s we go tomorrow in St. Croix, and weather pretty typical for this time of year with a mix of clouds and sunshine. If you're heading out to the water, here's a look at your marine forecast for the Atlantic side. Now, small craft operators should exercise caution. Waves coming in between 4 and 6 feet, though we could see swells up to 8 feet. Winds out of the east between 15 and 20 knots. Similar conditions on the Caribbean side. Small crafts exercise caution. Waves between 4 and 6 feet, though we could see increasing swells. Easterly winds between 15 and 20 knots. Here's a look at your extended forecast across the Virgin Islands. Just a recap for your Thursday, mix of clouds and sun, high 85. Can't rule out a sprinkle or two. Same deal as we head into Friday and wrap up the work and school week. The weekend looks good. Get out and enjoy it. Mostly sunny Saturday and sunny Sunday with the trade wind shower possible. Highs climbing to 86 degrees, and that typical pattern will continue right into early next week for our Monday. Your high is 86, overnight low 77. Sandy, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks for that. Be sure to send us your News 2 weather picture to CBS News 2 Innovative Business Center, 4611 Tutu Park, Suite 300, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, 00802. And that is all for this edition of News 2. On behalf of all of us here